Welcome back. So we're going to look at the definition of a circle. All right, so I want you to write in the underlined portions under definition. Under the word circle, you can write 2 dimensions. Right? So a circle also has 2 dimensions. And a circle is a set of all points in a plane. Another word for, by the way, for this, another word for set of all points is locus. Right? So in parentheses, put the word locus. I almost guarantee you're going to see that on a formative. Right? That often comes up, the word locus in the formative. Now, you're not asked to define the word per se, but it comes in as part of the definition. So a circle is the set of all points, or the locus of all points in a plane, that are equidistant from a fixed point called the center. The fixed point from the circle center to any point on the circle is called the radius. Right, so you can, if you want, you can write more, but all you have to really write for me to have the key parts of the definition is just the part I underlined to make it a little easier for you. For diagram, we have a picture here. You can draw that. All right, we see circle P. Had to give it a name. You can add in the HK. The HK is referring to the center. When we draw our circle on a coordinate plane, right, we can talk about the center in terms as a point on the coordinate plane. Right, so it'll have an X and a Y coordinate. Right now, we're just concerned with what's a circle. Right, so, and then the distance from the center to any point on the circle would be the radius. There is a symbol for circle, right, and it looks like a circle with a dot in the center. Why the dot? Well, that dot is part of the circle. All circles in geometry will have a center, right? And we need to show that that center is part of it, and all the points that are the same distance away from that center is part of it. Right? So that's the symbol for a circle. And you name circles by the center point. Right? So under naming, I want you to add in your notes the green words, the green underlined words, name by the center point. And then there's an example that goes with our diagram. So that would be circle P. Okay, so that's a circle. We can talk about a portion of a circle. Right? So a portion of a circle is an arc. Right? So in your notes we have arc. Underneath arc, write in, it is 1 dimension. Definition, 2 points on the circle, and you can write in the underlined words. Not everything ended up being read, but all the underlined parts, including those that aren't read. So 2 points on the circle, and the continuous, and you can, continuous means unbroken, but you can leave out the word unbroken, part of the circle between the 2 points. Here we have a diagram. I want you to draw in both diagrams. Oh, actually, no, you can draw in one diagram because I've got it covered. I've got the naming covered for either one of them. So you can draw in either diagram, the top one or the bottom one is fine, actually. Because I've covered in a naming for both of them. Right? So when we name arcs, right, so you have to write in both parts that say naming. Right? So when we name arcs, you name arcs, and make sure, by the way, on the diagram, you draw everything you see, either this picture or this picture, everything there. Right? So, and for naming, you need to write in the 2 parts, the parts that are underlined. So you name arcs by 2 points, the starting and ending point, and really it doesn't matter who's starting and who's ending. It's not directional like array. The starting and ending point if it's less than 180. And then you put an arc symbol above. And the arc symbol looks just like an arc. Looks like a little piece of a circle. So it's sort of like a line segment that's bent. So if we only have 2 points, and the order doesn't matter, you don't have to write that in, but you'll have that under your naming. Right? So here we have, I can call this, so arc AB is referring to the green arc. It is referring to this arc only. It is not referring to the other arc. So if an arc is named with 2 points, it means you go the short way. Right? You go the fastest route around the circle to get to the next point. That's what it means if there's only 2 letters. If there's 3 letters, you're going to start at the first letter, go through the second letter, and continue to the third letter. Right? That's what tells us to go the long way. So if we want to go the long way, we're going to use 3 points. So on continuing on with naming, you name an arc by 3 points. The starting point, the ending point, plus a point in between if it's greater than 180 degrees. Right? For 180 degrees, I've seen both 2 and 3. Technically it should be 3, but because you don't know which way you mean, but it's the same, it's a different arc, but the same length, the same distance around. If it's 180 degrees, right? It'd be halfway. So I just don't know which halfway. But we won't worry about 180 degrees right now. We'll talk about that when we deal with circles later on in the third quarter. All right, but let's just talk about naming them. All right, so here, if we want to go the long way, if I want to refer to this diagram, if I want to go the long way, right, I need a 3rd point. So I have arc ACB, and the order doesn't matter, or it could be arc BCA. Right? So the larger arc there is arc ACB. If I want the smaller arc, I'll use 2 letters, and it'll be arc AB or arc BA. In the other diagram, right, the arc, I have lost my pen, here it is, arc HN or arc NH is that arc there. The other arc needs the 3rd letter. So this would be arc HKN or arc NKH because the order doesn't matter. Right? So it's 2 points for an arc less than 180 degrees, 3 points for an arc more than 180 degrees. Okay? So add this part to your notes. Right, so now that's all we're going to go over in terms of circles, just some basic definitions. We're going to learn a lot more about circles in the 3rd quarter. All right, so measuring in 1 and 2 dimensions. All right, so we've dealt with 1-dimensional things and 2-dimensional things. All right, so perimeter is the distance around a figure. So in your notes under perimeter, so perimeter, by the way, is 1 dimension. So underneath you can put 1 dimension. I want you to write in the underlined words and include that one. So circumference is the same thing as perimeter. We call it circumference when it's a circle. Circumference has circle as part of it, right? So means the exact same thing, and it's the distance around. I want you to also add to your definition that it's measured in units of length, like meters and feet. For the diagram, you can just draw any kind of polygon and draw a little arrow showing outside. All right, so you're measuring the outside, the distance around. No naming or symbol on this one. Under the word area in your notes, write in it, it's 2 dimensions. Right? We're finding not only length, but also width. It's the amount of surface covered by a figure. Also, as part of your definition, put in it's measured in square units. And so you don't have to write square meters and square feet. Put meters squared and feet squared. And by the way, you could have abbreviated on the other one too. For your diagram, just draw the same thing again. Only this time, shade in the inside portion and put an arrow pointing to the inside. Area measures the inside. And I think that's the last thing I'm going to cover on this podcast. because we're moving on to 3 dimensions. So I'll see you in the next podcast.